Assalamu alaikum. Today is the 21st of the September and it's morning, and this is the advanced comparative constitutional advocate Gulraiz King itself. As I told so many times, last night I was in my as to understanding the constitutional issues in the Pakistan again, the comparative constitutional issues in the Pakistan. The solemn affirmations of the facts of the surrounding appears to be the next point, and the questions of the rotations of the civil interpretations in the constitutional domains, where the Article 199 appears to be a point of dissolving factors into the public tranquilizers. But apart from these minor issues, the major proportional issue, which I just observed, that the compassionate compression elementary element of the Republicans appears to be the point of the discussing of the discussions. When I just observe the positions and the propositions of the proportional deferred lines of the females, I come up with the next thought that the females uh, are trying to save these female skins from the heat stroke through having the proxy wars and the proxy culture in the Pakistan, the proxy salary culture in the Pakistan, because the such females have drive no solutions to have the proper incomes and expenses solutions, and thereafter the males comes the next point. And meanwhile, when we just multiply the polarizations of the marital ceremonies, what is the next point that is called the ultimate aggression of the depressed individuals in the public sector, as per my observations, in regards with the compliance to the 31st October 2022. Thereby, the concept which I just observed by myself, that during the 21st of the September, what is said, because it's a morning and I just woke up and I just have the shower, and after that I'm going to have my breakfast as to observe the all elements. So before having the breakfast, I consider it to be a very perfect line of the observation that if the Pakistan is the question of the observation for the Republicans, thereafter, what is the concept of the refabrication of the products in the capacitations of the uh, subdivisional areas? When I observe the propositions of the subdivisional areas, that such subdivisional areas of the Pakistan are trying to have the proportional reciprocate empowerment of the divisional areas, thereby the concept of the fabrications of the evidence would have been procured in the said element in the question as well. The females are trying to convince the men dominants that such females are very loyal to the same subject lines, but after having a lot of the concept of the diseases in the females and in the males and in the transgenders and in the multiple social disordered individuals reflected in the public sector, what we just observe ourselves in the total oversight of the fabrication of the products ingredients, the multiplied individuals in the public sector appears to be the targeted observations of the publicans, and the public appears to be the next point as to ascertain the true impeachment of their own self-esteem. Whether the self-esteem is low or high, that is not an accurate point of the law. The law remains very resilient to the salient features of the Republicans under the subordination of the business skills as well. The transcriptions of the transcripted rights of the females at fiscal deficit disorder under the parental negligence is the accommodated factor, which is not being reconciled by either of the men dominant societies. The men dominant societies always just cross multiply the females as to divide and rule. The Republicans properties and the lands, as per my finding, when I just figured it out that the Republicans were and are in this habit as to ascertain the profit out of the female's property. Thereafter, what comes the next is the point which is not being derived by the wrong driven individuals in the public sector. The females of the Pakistan in the Pakistan under the subordination of the wrong men dominant society become a target of outstanding liability of the prostitution in the public sector as well. The concept of such females applied in the public sector, and I just spoke about the rights of the same under the Electronic Transaction Ordinance 2002, Section 2 and Section 2 Clause N and Section 2 Clause M, while having my intellectual property rights as to interpreting the laws under the framing of the High Court rules, that the concept of the females and the males and the other sorts of the species within the Pakistan appears to be the extraterrestrial matters of the Republicans under the slogans of their monologist issues, and thereby the concept which we just ascertain by ourselves becomes so exhaustible that we becomes exhausting in the meanwhile of the day and in the meantime of the night. Meanwhile of the day and meantime of the night, after that, but we just observe. We observe the females have been in more quantity. The quantum rate of the females led the females into the corrupt methods of having the resilient factor, the salient features of the factorizations of the common products, commodities in the Pakistan. The females 99.9% when observed that the males are not in the position of the capacitations of the seats reserved in the political motivated one. Such females becomes automobile industry in the Republicans uh, categorical and non-remarkable achievement as well. But the political sort of females always have gathered the sorts of the reformative modes of assessment as well as from my finding. The uh, reflexive thoughts of the men dominant society is the need of the hour as to reform society under the global threat of the females' right enforcement unions for by the advocate Gulraiz King, that when I observed that the females were not provided any right in the Pakistan, the females always gathered or snatched the right from the men dominant societies under the ipse dixit of the third person. Thereafter, what happens with the men dominant society when the men dominant remainder proportion 75% are not willing to extend their mental thoughts as to ascertain the true points of the depictions of the facts under the homogeneous in home existence facts of the same subject line appears to be the next point. The derivations of the concept of the fabrications under the layer schemes of the reproductive growth of the females appears to be the targeted issue with the same subject line in the public sector as per my finding under the day 21st September and year 2022 as per the global reform unions, because I observed that the females were groomed under the ultimate constructive hate speech while mobilizing the same labor unions with having no proper reconciled amendment of the living in the public sector as well. So when the concept of the females, and there appears to be the secondary sort of the males in the public sector, the secondary sort of the males in the public sector extending their extraordinary movements under the revolving factors of the females' abductions in the law enforcement agencies becomes an outstanding liability of the law officers in the Pakistan as to arrest such males, which are just there in the public sector under the revolving figures 360 to have the females' veracity for having no proper transcriptions of the modes of the transcripts of the working for the said females in the work empowerment, and and the second act is the violence against the females. When I cross studied both of the modified laws, I found a minor proportion of time for myself existing as well. So stay blessed. This is Advocate Gulraiz King, the advanced comparative constitutional advocate itself. Today is the 21st of the September, and I hope the best for everyone around me, around the globe, and 21st September and year 2022. Prerogative customs settled by this advocate.